Hello class, my name is Zach Howard once again, and I want to talk to you today about Mercy Otis Warren, who was a very unique lady who played a unique role during the whole Revolutionary War and the whole colonial America and what would actually become the United States of America. She was a very unique lady. And what we'll see and discuss here in just a minute is really fascinating, actually. Again, I'll put all my sources at the bottom. I'm going to try to not say them as much while I read, just for the sake of time, so I don't run out of time. But she was very instrumental in the Revolutionary War times, and primarily due to just her influence with her writings. Actually, post-war, pre-war and post-war, her writings were very influential. And so, but starting out at the beginning, Mercy Otis Warren, she was born in Massachusetts in 1728. Her father, like her eventual husband and even her brother, were all political figures. Her father played a big political role in Massachusetts. And so kind of what we see is that she was actually raised in a political home. And so she kind of, I'm a pastor's kid, so I've kind of been raised in a pastoral house and kind of just know how it is. Well, that was kind of true of her in a political arena. Like, she kind of knew how it worked, and everybody she knew were political figures. Her father, her eventual husband, her brother, and even her closest friends, as we'll see later on, were all instrumental political figures. And so she was kind of keen on this whole political idea. And so, but when she was young, she didn't have a formal education. In fact, most women at the time did not have a formal education during this time. And so her brother did, and he had a tutor and everything. And so every so often, what was pretty cool is the tutor would actually let her sit in on the lessons. And so she actually did gain the ability to read and to write, which is what we'll see, which will be very instrumental in her influence throughout colonial America and post-war. And so the tutor actually probably didn't even realize what she was doing, but played a monumental role in helping Mercy Otis Warren have a significant impact. And so anyways, moving forward, her family was was pretty well known at the time. Again, all political figures, and herself, her father, her brother, and her husband, all political figures, so they're probably pretty well known at the time. She went on to marry James Warren, who was a political figure in Massachusetts. They had 5 sons together, which that's just the dream. They had a starting 5 for a basketball team. That's awesome. That was a dream. And so again, she was somewhat educated, not a formal education, but learned to read and to write. Mercy's husband and brother were part of the growing resistance against Great Britain during this time, specifically with the Stamp Act. They kind of made the phrase popular. Taxation without representation is tyranny. That was kind of their rallying cry. And so where Mercy herself would primarily contribute is in her writings. Like previously mentioned, she wrote many plays actually that were in opposition to the tyranny of Great Britain. The Defeat, I don't know how to pronounce this one, but the Adulatar, A Tragedy, The Blockheads, The Motley Assembly, and The Group. And her hope in these were to bring a unity in opposition to Great Britain. She wrote in these symbolic ways, kind of in satire in some ways. And originally, she wrote anonymous a lot of the times, and then kind of in retrospect, she was given credit for some of these writings, but she didn't want to put her name on it originally. Her writings would shed light on America moving forward and their style of government. And you can see that she was greatly fearful that this way of government that they were setting up would just bleed right back over into a tyranny or a kingship where a king would reign. And she was fearful of that, and even her post-war writings would kind of shed some light on that. And so that was actually where some of her opposition to John Adams' family comes in, because she recognized how ambitious, or stated that he was very ambitious, and she kind of feared that, and that this style of government that they were implementing, which again, or she would oppose the one of the original constitutions, because she said, hey man, like, I'm not sure this is going to bleed over into true democracy. I think it's going to start lending itself to more of a king tyranny type approach. And so you can kind of see this in her writings a lot, is that she seemed like she was very fearful of what happened in Great Britain. And so she's kind of trying to be careful. And she actually had a lot of conflict with John Adams during this time. They would eventually reconcile right before her death via a mutual friend. But she was very fearful of this. And so in a lot of her writings, she would even use Rome and Greece as parallels to communicating, satire to communicating this fear of we need to be careful because it looks like the wealthy are going to rule more so than this actually being a true democracy. And so that's all the time I have. Thank you guys for listening. I tried to cover as much as I can. And again, I'll list the sources at the bottom. I look forward to interacting with you all.